Welcome everybody to this evening's presentation on systematic kinesiology. This is an introduction to our whole person approach to health. And so hopefully you can hear me all okay. So my name is Siobhan Guthrie. I am the principal of Kinesiology Zone. I qualified in 1998 and I was trained by Brian Butler, who was the first to pioneer kinesiology in Europe in the 1980s. And I set up Kinesiology Zone in 2000, set up the school in 2000, and I'm also very keen in continuing my own learning, and I've trained in the Bowen technique, the Gosky method is postural assessment, postural alignment therapy, and transformative coaching as well. I teach the diploma course in advanced kinesiology, advanced systematic kinesiology, and I run the balanced health course in Dublin. And I see clients occasionally as well. So a little bit more about Kinesiology Zone. It was set up in 2000. We run, obviously, training in the balanced health courses, which are ideal for anyone who is wanting to take the first step in learning about kinesiology. And it is for lay people. It is also for practitioners of other therapies. It's an amazing course, which we'll be talking about later on this evening. I also run the diploma course, which is the professional training for those who, fall in love with balanced health and fall in love with the basics of kinesiology and want to become a practitioner. And then we offer postgraduate training as well. So what we're going to cover tonight is obviously our introduction to our approach to healthcare and systematic kinesiology, how we treat the whole person, and how this understanding of how the body works can help you reduce stress, help you to feel good and prevent illness today and really for the rest of your life. And then later on, for those of you who want to stay on, we're going to do an overview of the training course as well. So we'll run for about an hour, and feel free to post any questions that you have. And if you are watching this as a replay, we'll then pop them into an email, and we'll give you the email at the end. So when we look at healthcare and the problems with the current healthcare system, one of the things that we see happening is that their main focus is on treating the symptoms, mainly with from a biochemical point of view, so a drug approach, or a physical point of view through surgery. The whole system is overloaded and overwhelmed and has little time, therefore, to devote to the individual. And in those, when you're treating people en masse, when you've got, systems in place, then we tend to generalize what the actual approach is. It has to be generalized. And then billions is being spent on, for example, on pain. So if we take pain as an example, I came across a study from NUI Galway, which averaged out the cost per chronic pain patient of being over €5,000 per year. Costs increase according to the severity of pain, and the total cost is estimated to be around the 5 billion per year, and that was in 2008. I don't think things have gone any better. In fact, stress heightens pain even more. And the HSE report in 2015 said there were at that time 4.6 million people living in Ireland, and 19 million prescriptions were filled for about 58 million items. So a lot of prescriptions. And 3.3 million people attended a hospital outpatient department in that year, 2015. So there's definitely a need for healthcare. And but in the from a perspective of individual healthcare, this is, I think, where the system is becoming overwhelmed, because a lot of the problems that people are suffering from aren't acute, which is where they absolutely should be in outpatient departments and going to hospitals and doctors for life-threatening, acute kind of things. That they're fantastic at those interventions. Are fantastic at helping people. But it's the chronic conditions that people are suffering with, where they haven't found relief, and yet the only thing that they're being given is a medication. So I think there's a great opportunity for people who are interested in holistic health to be considering kinesiology. So stress, our body's built-in stress system was made for a time when we only had short periods of stress. And by short periods, we kind of mean, 10, maybe 20 minutes, an exertion to run away from a tiger that was going to cause you pain or eat you. And so anything that goes on longer than half an hour starts to have a worsening effect on the body. But the world is getting more and more stressed. So the fight-flight response is being triggered in response to real or imaginary situations. And cortisol gets released regardless of the type of stress. So what I mean by that is whether the stress is emotional, which is often what people think about in terms of stress. But stress, we can physically stress our bodies, whether that means too much exercise or too little. But we can also stress our bodies through the foods that we eat or the energy around us as well. So there's lots of ways. And so it's definitely, I think we are being stressed in so many ways that we're unaware of. So when we eat a diet that, for the sake of argument is based on how many calories there is, as opposed to what the quality of the food is, that's a stressed body. So, and then foods that are manufactured or processed, like ultra processed, with hardly any nutritional nourishment value in it, again, could also be a stress to the body. And so there are all these different things that are contributing to our stress levels that maybe we aren't aware of. So yeah, I think it's important. So while great campaigns exist to educate us in making healthy choices, we are still making not so good choices. So we're obviously inundated with information, but we're still not making sustainable, healthy choices. But no two people are the same. And so the general advice that suits, maybe, well-meaning people will say, oh, well, you should try this because this worked for me. But it might not work for you because you're a different person and each person is unique. And so when we're stressed and overwhelmed, it can be hard to make the right decisions. And so our students tend to be those who are looking for something more for themselves. They have struggled with their own health issues and, have become inspired to want to do the same for others. And so there's a lot of ways in which we can help other people that that can make a real difference. So what can we do? Well, I think as an individual, as a culture, we could be learning more about health and how our own body works on a normal level, the functioning of the body. So it means that then you don't feel helpless when it comes to your own health. So if you get an ache or a pain, you don't have to necessarily worry too much what it is. You can find some ways in which to help balance the body, and I'm going to show you some of those later. I'm going to give you some examples of how you can help reduce your own emotional stress and how you can balance some of the organs and the muscles in the body. So these positive actions that help to nourish the body, not just about food, but our thoughts and mindset, our thinking, our getting out in the fresh air, connecting with ourselves and with other people. I think what kinesiology offers is a way to be able to reconnect to all the parts of our body, mind and the body. It is connected. It's not separate. And it means that when you try and treat the body as a separate entity, like a separate knee, a separate ankle, an elbow, a hip, it's like all of those things are connected. And so sometimes when we're looking at a knee, really the pain, that's where it's ended up, but it's not coming from there. It's coming from maybe the hip or elsewhere. So we're going to talk all about that. So some of the principles that we have in systematic kinesiology is we treat the whole person. The person is fully connected. It just doesn't make sense to not include, how they're emotionally stressed if they have back pain. It doesn't make sense to me that we don't consider what they're eating on a daily basis. One of the things that we talk about is where it is, it isn't. One of the things that, someone's coming to see me for low back pain, maybe it's coming from the neck. But if we only look at where it is, then we'll only focus on the neck, or on the low back. If we were looking to look at their knee problems, if the knee is, this is where the pain's ending up, but where is it coming from? Is it coming from elsewhere in the body? Is it maybe even coming from a food sensitivity? Because when I show you later on, we talk about some of the muscles that insert around the knee could be part of the digestive system, associated with the digestive system. And so maybe it's part of the diet, it's causing it. And if you only treat physically where it is, and thinking of it only as a structural problem, then we're going to miss out. So we also recognize that the client's body is the expert. It has all of the information, and all we want to do is to find out where, find out what's going on, what does it need, what does it not need, and so we're able to do that through interpreting the results that we get of the muscle test. So we know that the body heals itself. It knows exactly what to do, but sometimes it's not got the right environment. So there's something that may be contributing to the lack of healing, whether that may be so poor wound healing, for example. Sometimes it can be a zinc deficiency, or somebody's eating something or drinking something every day that is contributing to switching off the body. And so those are all parts of what we deal with and what we work with in kinesiology. Another thing to think about is as above, so below. As I kind of mentioned it there with the low back and the neck, we look to see, if we found something in the lower back, maybe there's something associated in the neck that needs to be worked on as well. So to keep the whole system functioning. Anything can fix anything if it's one of the causes, and we're interested in finding the root cause of the body's imbalance. Always, always, always. Yes, treatment of symptoms, absolutely, out of pain, but we want to know what's underlying, what's going on underneath, and so that's what I think is so cool about systematic kinesiology. So our whole person approach, we are an interconnected whole person system, and we have so this is a backdrop to what we do. It was designed by Brian Butler, who, as I mentioned, was the founder of Systematic Kinesiology, and he taught me in Ireland, taught a small group of us, and helped me kind of set up the association in the school back in 2000. And so I'm fully supportive of what we're doing here, and I speak with him regularly. He lives in Australia now, retired there about 18, 19 years ago. And so this is the backdrop to what systematic kinesiology is, and we look at every problem, every client that comes in who has a health issue. We're looking at it from a mental realm perspective, so that's our thoughts, our thinking, beliefs, our own ideas, emotions, all those sorts of things go into the mental realm. Chemical realm, then we're looking at the biochemistry of the body, hormones, foods, nutrition, dehydration, all those sorts, all the body chemistry. On the physical realm, then we're looking at the structure, the movements, muscles, bones, the lymphatic system, and you've got TMJ, your jaw, pelvis, all the kind of structural bone parts of the body. And then on the energetic realm, meridian energy, the aura, the electrics, the sort of like that's the middle bit here in our yin and yang sign. But we also have this symbol at the bottom, which is about grounding. It's about being grounded. It's about being sensible. It's about being, tried and tested. All of these techniques that we share are not someone else's ideas. They work whether you believe in them or not. And so it's a very grounded type of therapy. It's sensible. It's logical. It's simple. And then at the top, then we have our recognition that of our more spiritual side, our connection to the universe, consciousness, God. It's more the spiritual side of things, and a higher power. And all of these areas they interact with each other, and they're interconnected. And so we work with identifying imbalances in all these areas and aim to balance them simultaneously. So if someone's got a physical type problem, like say back pain, we will work with the emotional and mental components, as well as the energetic, as well as the chemical. And as much as we can do that simultaneously, then the more of those problems are able to be balanced. And it has lasting results. So that's kind of like our introduction to systematic kinesiology. And in the next video, so I stopped the videos, but in the next video you'll be able to see how we do all of that, and that's with muscle testing. So I'm going to stop this video now, and in the next bit you'll see our the rest of the presentation where we go into the muscle testing and how we do that. So I hope you've enjoyed part 1.